if I can export this out of my, because I don't want this in my work things, whatever. Anyway, we'll figure that out later. So Gerard, nice to see you again.
You too, Rod.
Yeah, always nice to chat with you.
Yes, it is.
So we're here to talk about meditation and what it is. So I am curious if you could explain to us, to me.
Yes.
If you could explain to us, what is meditation?
Yes. So it's important to understand what meditation is not, first of all, because people have some ideas, some preconceived ideas of what it should be. For example, people think that it's about emptying the mind. Well, it's not about that. The mind is always generating thoughts. So there's a analogy. It's like surfing. You cannot stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf. And so it's really about observing those thoughts rather than getting rid of them. Yeah, so it's not about emptying the mind, and it's also not about feeling calm or peaceful. Again, I think people can get frustrated. They sit in meditation and they feel anxious, maybe. This is not working. Right. Why am I not feeling peaceful? And again, it's not about that. Your intention, setting an intention is very important before you start. And it should really be just to observe whatever is arising. And that can be difficult, emotions or thoughts or discomfort, bodily discomfort, if you sit for a long time. So that's important. What it's not those two things. And what it is, it's observing the present moment, non-judgmentally. That's the definition by Zabit-Kin or Kabat-Zinn. Do you know him?
I do, yeah.
Which one is it? Is it Kabat-Zinn or?
I think it's Kabat-Zinn, yeah.
Kabat-Zinn. So he defined it, 6 words. He defined mindfulness. Yes, observing the present moment non-judgmentally. So that's what it is, and observing your breathing, I think, is the easiest way, or what most people do. Just sitting and watching the breath come in and out. And then the mind will often wander off. And then you can just be aware of that you have been thinking and come back to the breath. And that's another really important thing, is that it's that coming back that is one of the most important things. It's not a moment to be frustrated and go, oh, I could not observe my breath. It's okay. I was thinking.
Right.
And that's a really important point, because you are separating your aware self from your thinking self. So there we go. That is what mindfulness or meditation is.
Wow, that was very clear.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And then why? The best answer I found with why do we meditate was from, is it Joseph Goldstein? Have you heard of him?
I have, yeah. The Insight meditation guy, and
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's great when you listen to him speak. Makes it very clear. And
I've never heard him talk. I've read a book by him, but I didn't that was so long ago when I first. But
yeah. Well, he came up with the best answer for me as why do we do it, and that's to get to know the mind. Very simply, that is why we meditate, because we have about 70,000 thoughts a day. A lot of them are repetitive. A lot of them are incorrect. And thinking colors everything you do in your life, right? Every decision you make, every relationship you have, your work, everything you do, how you react to what your mind is doing. So if you feel sad, you might do something that is not good for you. You might drink too much or something like that. So getting to know your mind a little better. And you can do that in meditation. You really can see thoughts and you can see them arise. You can see that you're not in control of them. They just arise. You're not producing them. They're just arising. And you can just watch them come and go. So get to know the mind, get to know emotions, and the crucial word for me is respond, not react.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So mindfulness meditation is really about responding to these thoughts. You're not saying, oh, this is wrong, this is a bad thought, or I shouldn't have this thought. It's you can't control them. These thoughts arise all the time, and then through meditation you can learn how to respond in a better way. So to get to know the mind, that's my best answer for why we do it.
I really like that. Respond, not react.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But what do you mean by get to know emotions? Like when you say get to know, I am curious what you mean when you say get to know the mind and get to know emotions. Do you mean you're getting to know patterns of thinking, like you start to recognize patterns, or recognize that the mind is not subject to your control, like understanding that feature? Or
well, that you can definitely see. I think through meditation you can see thoughts are arising. So yes.
Right.
And yes, throughout the day, if you practice regularly, you can just see thoughts arise, and so you get to know what, especially negative thoughts you have that are pretty destructive for people. You can just see them as they are. They're just thoughts. You don't need to attach to them.
Right.
You can just let it go. So that's what I mean by getting to know thoughts. These are actual sentences in your head. You're not good enough. Something like that.
Yeah, sure.
And then emotions, be it anger or sadness, if you just be with it for a little while, see what, and is that an energy? I think anger can be an energy, can't it? Have you ever sat with anger?
Very difficult. That's hard. It's
this
hard
energy.
Huge.
And that's all it is, really. It's an energy, and I think the more you observe it or aware of it, it will dissipate.
Oh yeah.
The idea.
Yeah.
And again, just I repeat, responding to the emotion, not necessarily reacting immediately by having an argument with someone, reacting to your anger.
Yeah. All right. Well, good. So how is it done? How do you meditate then?
I sit in a chair.
Mm-hmm.
Many people can sit on the floor, but I sit on a chair in a upright fashion, not tense. You're relaxed, but you are upright, because your intention for meditation is to observe whatever is arising. And so I think to sit in an upright position, you are in a ready way to observe whatever's happening. And you don't have to start with the breath. You can just be aware of your body. So your hands making contact with your legs.
Right.
If they're resting on the legs, you can feel that. You can feel your feet making contact with the floor. So that, I think, is a pretty good thing to be aware of. And then you can become aware of your breath, in and out. You can be aware of your chest or your stomach moving.
It's very body focused, is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as I say, you will drift off. Well, I certainly do, repeatedly, and lose that focus, and then you bring yourself back. And bringing yourself back, how you do it is important. Again, it's non-judgmentally, so you don't say, "Oh no, thinking again. I've lost it." You're judging yourself. You're just saying, "Okay, thinking." You can actually make a mental note, thinking.
Yeah.
And then come back.
Yeah.
And repeat that for as long as you wish. I do it for 10 minutes a day.
10 minutes a day.
In the morning and afternoon. Yeah. And
like 2 different times?
2 different times, yeah. So first thing in the morning, and then sometime in the afternoon.
10 more minutes. So 10 and 10.
Yes.
Wow. That's
and
great.
That is non-negotiable, Rod.
Yeah, non-negotiable. What do you mean by that?
that is not my term, but I really liked it
Yeah.
because meditation it's part of many good habits we have, right? Going for a walk. I mean, there's many things you can do, and habits often get lost through time. You just, I haven't done that for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, meditation is like the number one that I will not miss.
Mhm.
It's non-negotiable. I won't have a negotiation with myself. So, well, today I'll miss it.
Mhm.
No, there is no negotiation.
Yeah.
I do it, and habit forming really helps with that. So I have some techniques for habit tracking. So each day you can tick off your habits. You can see the chain every day you've done it.
Yeah. And how long have you been doing this? Like
Since
how long for how?
2006, so 15
Okay.
years.
Like daily like this? Yeah.
Not for 15 years, but for the last 5, definitely daily. Before then, I would have that, as I said, those periods where I haven't been meditating for a while,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, for the last, I don't know, 5, 8 years, I've done it every day.
Yeah. Last 5 or 8 years. Mhm.
So what about you, Rod? Can you add anything to the why or to the what it is?
The water, the what?
The why and the what?
No, it was great. I like just keeping it to the level of the body. That's what I try to do when I meditate. Is just it's purely body is what I try to do. And just breathe and feel the sensations and all that. You know, and so yeah, I was, as you just said, I was kind of in a period where I wasn't uh, formally sitting very often for the last, I don't know, maybe I'd say 2021 in general was not a big meditation year because I had kind of it was kind of a wild year in some ways for me. Um, but I've just returned to it about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it's really it really makes a difference. I mean, there is a bit, I I feel like I do have the perspective that meditation gives you, because I've been doing it for a long time too, and
Mm.
after years and years, you just kind of like your mind does gradually begin to just have a new default, you know? And
Of awareness to thinking.
yeah,
Mm.
maybe the mind is not the right word, I'm, but that's that awareness, that space around your mind, that you
Yes.
create, that nice big oceanic space of awareness around your mind. It it really makes the mind look about this big, and you know, and according to some traditions, the mind is non-existent anyway. So it's really seeing through it completely.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, so that I guess that's the why, because the it's certain, because even though as I was saying, the perspective is there, every day, whether I sit or not formally.
Mm.
There really is a qualitative difference though in how the day goes
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah.
when I sit. So I do 30 minutes in the morning lately. You know, I do it with coffee. I have my
Mm.
coffee, and I sit for
Yes.
30
Do
minutes.
you drink your coffee with awareness?
Absolutely. I'm sitting there. I only take a few sips in the 30 minutes, but yeah, I'm just
So
sitting
yeah,
there.
you can observe your hand
Yeah. The
picking
whole
up, yeah, and the temperature of the mug, or all these things
right.
so many things to be
Right.
aware
I
of.
mean, that's what I should be doing, but instead I'm just thinking the whole
Sure. Yeah.
yeah. But it makes a huge difference, because even for me, what I've noticed about it is that all it takes is little glimpses, like just a split second of those moments, and that can set the whole day actually, of like, okay, I'm good. you know? Do you know what I'm talking about with like those split second moments of um you just kind of get a glimpse of peace, or something, and you just feel the result of what you're doing fully or something.
I suppose I've never felt I'm good for the day after
No, I
meditation.
mean that's not. I mean that's probably not true anyway. I'm just.
But I think what it helps me do is throughout the day bring. I like the expression bringing presence in.
Yeah.
So when you're walking, you're not just lost in thought. You are actually slowing down, maybe a little. You're hearing the sound of your footsteps.
Sure.
All this kind of thing. You again observing your breathing, even just for a few seconds. Really, I think it is very effective.
Absolutely.
Just to not be lost in thought the whole day. And I think we have this idea of what are we going to do next, right? Well, within this activity, and then the next, next. You're not really in doing the thing in the present. So I think that's what it helped me do. Helped me bring presence in through the day, just in very small moments. But I think they are important.
Yeah, definitely. Because you remember, right? You have those moments of remembrance of, oh yeah.
Just looking at the sky, looking at the trees, whatever.
And just coming back to the body.
someone.
Yeah, talking to somebody. Sure.
So that you're really trying to listen rather than just think, what am I going to say next, and what's happening in my mind. So
that's right.
Very, very useful.
Well, good. Yeah. Well, we got about 7 minutes left, I guess. 6 or 7 minutes.
Okay.
Or, yeah. Now, is there another question that I missed that you would like me to ask you?
No.
Okay.
But there's a few other things I can say. I like the idea when people say, is it selfish, right? Because you're just doing something for yourself. It feels like observing your thoughts, sitting, doing nothing. I mean, of course, you're actually doing a lot. You're observing the present moment. But I like the analogy of the gas mask in the plane. Have you heard that? So when if there's a disaster on a plane, you put the gas mask on yourself first. Did you know that in a plane?
Yes, you do yourself first, and then you help others.
Right, and so I like that idea with meditation, that you are helping yourself first so that you can help others. And as I said, just being present around others is a huge gift. Listening to people with presence is a huge gift. So so it's not a selfish activity.
Yes, yeah, sure. So there are results, you would say, that spill into the world.
Oh yeah. Yes, and people often ask, how will I know I'm getting anywhere? Again, it can feel like a waste of time because you're just sitting there being lost in thought. And I could be doing something better, but often it's people around you that notice. That maybe you are calmer, you don't react to things so much. You don't frown as much. Anything. It can be very little things, but it's people around you that notice and benefit.
Yeah. So what are some of those results? You listen better. You listen deeper, right? Now, with other people, what else would you say it has done?
Well, I give the example of my wife, that she used to, before I meditated, she used to say I was frowning a lot. Just, obviously just lost in thought, attached to my own thoughts.
Sure.
And I don't really do that anymore. She doesn't say, "Oh, stop frowning." Yeah. So, and again, if you're frowning, I mean, you're just worrying about your own stuff, aren't you? That's not really great for other people. You're not bringing a nice, joyful presence to others. So, definitely that. And calmer. Happier.
Yeah. I found that for me that it helps me understand, or at least try to understand where other people are coming from a lot more.
Right. Yes.
Especially when I disagree with them. Like it for me, it has actually given me at times the capacity to like really dive into other people's worldviews that I'm really not into, just to see if there's something there that is true or valuable or something, and before
Yeah.
meditation, I don't think that's even possible, because for me, one of the experiences of having the like a lot like of getting into like the awareness that's not mind, right, is that so much more can come into it, right? Like,
Mm.
it's you're no longer strangled or something, right? Like, that's how it feels sometimes when you're just completely lost in thought constantly.
Yes, and your whole identity is attached to that thought. Once you step
Whole
away from
story.
that, then you're, as you say, you're more open to others' ideas. So that's, yeah, that's great.
Sure. I mean, right. And it's usually a story, right? There's usually like a storyline that's going on. And so when you kind of, I guess, kind of see the backdrop behind that, and it's
Mm.
like that wider awareness, it allows other perspectives to actually come in, because you start to realize, what I started to realize was that my mind was only one thing in consciousness. You know, my mind is not a consciousness. My mind is just one thing in consciousness. And so when I hear like other ideas, there's just a lot more openness, because that awareness can hold all of it. You know,
Yeah, that's great.
so yeah, that's been nice.
Yeah. And just one other thing I could touch on was the Buddhist idea of non-self. It's quite a difficult difficult philosophy, but again, I heard quite a good breakdown of it, that we have an idea of self that is non-changing, and I suppose it is very much identified with your thoughts, right? That is yourself, and it's very rigid.
Yeah,
And the idea of non-self that is not true. We are not our thoughts. There is something else to us that is not just thoughts, and it is changing over time. So it is awareness, that's part of us. Thoughts, absolutely part of us. Body, emotions, and many things. And the crucial thing is that they are always in flux.
they're always in
And
flux.
that's what it means by non-self.
Right.
Because when I first heard it, you do think, well, surely there's a body, and there's an identity, and of course there is. There's a history to yourself, but yeah, crucially, it's many different things that are always changing. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a flux. It's a constant flux.
Yeah.
I've heard it described as a composite, as well. The personality being, a composite,
Yeah.
a composition, and the Buddha used that language too. I think, right? Like construction and composed and that kind of thing. And when you de, when there's nothing that doesn't contain everything, is basically what the message is, right? It's like,
There
um,
is nothing
that
that
doesn't
doesn't
contain everything.
contain everything. There is like
Yeah, like your body. It's the interdependence of all things, is what he was talking about. Do you know?
right.
Do you know dependent origination? The doctrine of dependent origination.
I read about it in one of his books. I've
Yeah,
forgotten.
sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know it in detail either, but it's just the idea that everything is completely dependent on each other
Mhm.
for existence, and there's no unique separate existence anywhere. It's all, everything is just on that sort of
Connected.
continuum. Yeah, but all of it to him was samsara, right? Was suffering. Like, that
Mhm.
whole web we're talking about is suffering. So he was charting a path out of that, right? That's, yeah.
Yes. And much of suffering is from wanting, right?
Absolutely.
Either
Craving.
either wanting a
Yeah.
good thing to continue, or wanting a bad thing to end. So that, and then that ties back to the judgment, saying, well, this is a bad, this is a good, but also it's another thing you can observe. You can observe the mind.
Yeah.
The mind will actually come up with a sentence, oh, I wish this, would end. Well,
Yeah.
that is just suffering upon whatever event you're in. It's the mind that's creating the second, or most, yeah, the most part of suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah, wanting.
Wanting.
Wanting. Observe
Yeah,
wanting is
craving.
very powerful.
Right. Observe the craving. Yeah. And see.
Observe the craving.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's just about coming to being, right? Just coming to being instead of doing and instead of thinking and instead of reacting. It's just about
Awareness of being. Yes.
just being and finding peace in that somehow, right? Or more peace than when you're not in being. At least that's my experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Well, we did reach the 25 mark, by the way.
Okay. Are we under the 30?
We are under the 30.
Okay. Then great. Well, that was good, Rod.
It was good. Yeah. What?
I think
So
it's nice to
I'll stop the recording and we'll keep chatting, all right, for a minute. Let me see.